you're gone. Actually, introduce yourself first as well.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Page. I'm a certified professional dog trainer here in the Silver Spring, Maryland area, which is just outside of Washington, D.C. And just a little bit about me before we get started. I have been training dogs for almost 5 years. Prior to that, I started my dog walking and pet sitting company back in 2003. I started working with animals in 2002 professionally. So almost 20 years I've been doing this, working with animals. I have walked dogs of all sizes and ages and temperaments with different harnesses, leashes, and all of that stuff, and 4 seasons. So, and actually overseas, I've been able to walk dogs too. And I'm just really excited to be here today to share some of the experience I have. The reason why we're here today is talking about canine enrichment without adding extra calories. We often think like, oh my gosh, if I stuff one of these things with this, these are one of my favorite things right now. These are called the West Paw Topples. I don't know if you guys, if they ever come in your packages, but these are fantastic. So this one holds, it can hold up to about 8 ounces of food, like wet food. And this size, this is the, whatever size this is, I don't know, see it, but anyway, the bigger one. And you freeze it and can use that. And so, you know, these, if you fill this with peanut butter, we're in trouble, right? If we fill it with something else more nutritious, we have a wonderful meal for our dogs without adding the calories. So I, along with working as a dog trainer and a dog walker, I also started out at a doggy daycare where they had a boutique. So I learned about food and treats there. And then I worked at a animal supply store, a local one here for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in the middle of my walking dogs and everything. And so when I was there, it's a small local boutique that's high-end dog and cat food. We sell some, I keep saying we, like I still work there because I love it so much. But they also sell food for chickens, for small mammals, so things like that. And so I learned a lot about nutrition there. And I learned about raw food, and I learned about canned food and kibble, and just the difference and how all animals, just like all humans, react to food differently. So, you know, sometimes some of us are like, I have a lab that can eat anything, right? Even get into like the chocolate and like be sick for a minute and be on his way and do it again tomorrow, right? We all know a dog or have a dog like that. And then we have another dog, like I have a little 12-pound mixed terrier who is a street dog who you would think could also eat scraps and trash and everything. And she has major, major sensitivities. So like to different types of foods. And so we have to be mindful of the differences, you know, just like I have one child, I have 2, and one of them can eat anything and one is gluten intolerant. So I have, you know, they came from the same place, but they have different needs and nutritional needs. So I learned a lot about nutrition working at the pet store. They would have the big companies that sold the food and supplements to us, give us some training to learn about it. And I just wanted more. So I ended up getting certified as a special, like a nutrition consultant for cats and dogs for both raw food and other foods. So I can help you decipher the back of any can or bag of food to help you determine the best nutrients your dog needs. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I'm sure as we talk, maybe some more will come out. I just wanted to get Aaron says, yes, so these things are fantastic. So let's talk about what to put in them. Before we answer that question though, there were a few questions that came in before this seminar and I wanted to just touch on them. The first one is, what is dog enrichment? So to me, dog enrichment is anything that we can provide for our dogs that gives them extra activity, that stimulates their mind, that stimulates their senses. When my son was little, he's a senior in high school now, but when he, I don't know, 2, 3 years old, we were at a dog's house. Her name was Diggy, Goody, and I gave her this toy, which is called a Babolat. I don't know if you guys have seen this. another one of my faves. And so we had this rolling around, and basically what happens is you unscrew the top, you put in kibbles or treats in the top of it. You can make the hole however size you want, and then here it comes out, and it's like a weeble wobble, like it, wobbles, but it won't fall over. And so the dog was playing with it because one of her meals that she got every day was in this. So we were giving her this meal, and my, 4-year-old son at the time said, "That's using all of 5 of her senses." And I said, wow, like he must have been learning that in school, right? About your 5 senses. And so I really thought about that. And I was like, you're right. It is using all 5 of their senses using something like this. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about enrichment. We're talking about providing stimulation, extra excitement for those senses, because our dogs' lives are pretty boring. The biggest excitement is when the postal man comes, to your door. Like, that's the biggest excitement of their 24-hour cycle of their, we want to make sure that we get them in, involve them in other activities other than just barking at the delivery person. So I think that's a little bit about what dog enrichment is. And why is dog enrichment important? Well, I think I kind of answered that too. Do you think, Barb, is there anything else I should say about it?
Nothing that comes to the top of my head. Just there are other resources in the membership if people want to go into more details on the different kinds. So that information is all in there as well. But I think you covered it pretty good.
Okay, great. Yeah, so it's important. It gives them, it stimulates their mind, it stimulates their body. So, a toy again like this, like the Bobble-Lot, moves all over the ground, and so they have to chase it. So if you have a dog who needs a little bit extra physical activity, that's really fun. Another reason why dog enrichment is important. So it stimulates their mind, it gets their bodies moving, it uses their senses, they're getting to be aware and kind of just learning about how to move in their environment. Also, if you have a dog who has any kind of anxiety, sometimes this can help refocus them and give them something to do when something that would normally trigger them or make them excited would give them focus and make them feel more confident. Because they were like, oh yeah, that noise used to bother me, but now when I hear that noise or that movement, some dogs are very visual and they get startled easily, like my puppy. So I have 2 dogs. One is allergic to everything and one startles easily. So my girl who startles, it's really helpful for her to have something else to focus on that she loves doing, that gives her that confidence and support that she needs. So that's another reason why I believe that dog enrichment is important. So then the third question says, how do I mentally enrich my dog? So I think that gets into all of the things that we can do. I'll answer that, and then we'll get into the nutrition piece. As far as I mentioned, this holds, like, I can put, at least 6 to 8 ounces of food in here. So that's like half a can or almost a whole can of dog food into this thing. So depending on how much your dog can eat in a day or how many calories they are supposed to have, that's a big allotment. So you want to make sure that you're not putting 8 ounces of peanut butter in here, because peanut butter has, this is 100, this one that I have, it's 190 calories for 2 tablespoons. So, and so there's 25 servings in here. So if we're talking, like, you could probably put half of this thing in here. Like that, it's too much. It's just too much. We don't want to do that. Enrich our dogs. There's a few ways you can do it. One, walks. Oh my gosh, you guys, walks are like, I'm not just telling you that because I'm a dog walker. I'm telling you that one of the best ways to give enrichment for your dogs is by taking them for a walk. It can be in your own neighborhood, and they love going somewhere new. If you have a dog who loves going somewhere new and sniffing, and when they sniff, let them sniff. Okay. I get clients who call me and say, my dog just wants to stop and sniff everything. Fantastic. They are learning so much from sniffing, and it's stimulating all of their senses. They are processing so much. It is almost as exhausting or more to stop and sniff for a few minutes than it is to walk down the street without it. So they need that extra time to sniff and explore and feel comfortable and confident in their area. If you try to pull them away, of sniffing, it's kind of like when your kid while you're reading a book. Like if you're reading a book or a magazine and you're in the middle of an article and your kid is like, Mom, and it interrupts you, that's what we're doing to our dogs when we pull them, because we're in a hurry and we're like, we want to physically walk faster. Then they lose that. They lose that activity and their sense of like their concentration. So we want to give them the opportunity to sniff. So that's one way we can mentally enrich them. Take them for a walk, take them for a hike, take them out and explore. So when we have young puppies, we want to socialize them. We want to and socialize does not just mean playing with puppies. That's not all that socialization is for puppies or even for adult dogs. Socialization is providing enrichment by taking them to, sometimes, your local bank will let you take your puppy there, or the hardware store or something like that. So you could take them with you, get them used to being in the car. Some dogs, especially young puppies, get sick in the car. We want to get them used to it, take them on rides, even if you just get them in the car and take them out. If that's all you can do, great. So that's another form of enrichment. Is that we're talking about here today is about treats, right? About what we think we're talking about treats here today. You guys, we're not talking about treats. I'm not talking about it. I am talking about providing the proper amount of calories that they need each day and spread it out. So for example, my two dogs at the moment, because it's lunchtime here on the East Coast, my dogs right now are not in my face. They are happily laying down on their couches and they are eating their out of these. And what is for my dogs today? So in theirs, I feed my dogs raw. And so I defrost the raw food just enough that's soft enough that I can put it in here, and then I refreeze it. I often mix it with canned pumpkin, with sardines, with goat's milk. There's all kinds of different things you can put in here, and it's part of their. So for example, I have, I'll just use my 35-pound puppy, and she eats a crazy amount of food right now. So what I do is I divide it into thirds, and I give her a meal in the morning, I give her a meal midday, and I give her a meal in the evening. The majority of her calories come from 3 specific meals. Depending on your dog, you can take away the bowl. I often tell clients to take away the bowl or only use the bowl for small amounts of food. It's nice to have a bowl, but it's also fun to have something long lasting when we're trying to eat dinner as a family. So when I'm trying to eat dinner as a family and I don't want my dogs jumping all over me, I can give them one of these and it lasts a good 15-20 minutes, depending on the size of your dog, how much you put in here. Freeze it, freeze it in there. And then you can have that treat for them. And it's a treat for them, but it's actually their all day regular, what they need. They need a complete nutritional balanced food all day. And so this way it gives them that. So let's see, I wanted to go back to that question about, so we're talking about overfeeding or not. So I know that, I don't know about y'all out there, but I know down here, we've been on and off lockdown for the past, however many months. Almost 2 years at this point, right? And so I've noticed with a lot of my clients that their dogs have gained the COVID-19 also, right? Is that what we're calling it? And so why is that happening? Because our dogs are like getting used to having us home, and they're getting extra treats and they're getting extra stuff, and they might not be getting walks, because if you're working from home, you may have canceled your dog walker, or you're not going on the hikes, or life has changed a little bit. We're not going on vacations, and so we want to make sure that when we are providing those treats that they're healthy. What I recommend, again, what I do with my dogs is, so my dogs eat 3 times a day, and I know the amount that they eat. So let's say you have a 60-pound lab who eats 3 cups of kibble a day. That's what they eat, right? And we want to reduce that or change it. We want to say, like, I don't want to give my dog 3 cups of kibble in their bowl, right? Or free feed them. And they get those 3 cups. And then on top of that, I give them this and I give them the Babolat and I make some cookies and I give them biscuits every time we go for a walk. That's where the extra weight comes in. So what you want to do is take the 3 cups of food that you would normally allot and remove, let's say, a cup of it. And you're going to use that cup and you're going to put it in something like the Babolat. See, this top holds about, I feel like, I can't remember exactly, about a 1/4 cup of kibble. And so you can put about a 1/4 cup of kibble in here, do that like all day long for a lot, and that gives them something to do. And you're not adding extra calories because you've removed it from the bowl. So in the morning, instead of getting a cup and a half, they're getting a cup. And then throughout the day, they get their other cup of food in a Babolat. You can mix kibble in. So if you don't want to use raw, if you're not ready to make that transition, you can use canned food. You can also soften kibble and with some bone broth or goat's milk or that, and you would freeze it in here. Be mindful again about the calories. I'm using bone broth or goat's milk. Those are extra calories. So you want to make sure that you weigh it out. And you don't have to weigh it forever. It's just so you get an idea of what it means when you're giving them that food. So the first week or so, you may be like all of these measuring cups out and everything, but have a good idea, a good sense of what it means to provide the extra enrichment without the extra calories. So you can just do all kinds of fun things. I'm sure you guys talk about different ways to this is a little lamb that my tiny dog took all the stuffing out. And what I love doing is putting kibble or treats or something and just like stuffing them into the little arm. And I leave it for her to do as a fun little activity when I have to leave the house or when she just needs something extra enrichment to do. So that's a fun one. The other thing is you can do, make treats in here. If you guys go to, I have a website and an Instagram, and I'm not very good with social media, but I have an Instagram and a Facebook. And on there, there's a link on the Instagram for recipes for the holidays. So you can click on there, and there's a few different recipes. One of them is a 3-course holiday dinner. And it has sweet potato, peas, apple, and some bone broth. And you freeze it together, and it's because it's so pretty. So you can see the pictures of it and everything online. But you can use a form like this. This is just an ice cube tray. I have paw print shaped, the silicone cookie cutters, and I use those cookie form, whatever it's called. Another fun thing you can do, if you're still waiting for your box, if shipping is slow and you don't get your treat box this month and you need an extra activity, you can just use just an egg carton and put some kibble or treats in there and have your dog find something like that. So that's a no cost treat thing. But I hear that the boxes that you from here are pretty good. So yeah, what else? What else would you like to know? Are there other questions? My puppy loves cartons, Amy says. Yeah.
I have a, oh, sorry. I was just gonna, I have a question because my dog really isn't motivated in any type of chew toy unless there is food attached. And with the stuffies and stuff, he just destroys them and eats them. And I think like even the toughest of tough toys is like 10 minutes or less. And he's, not it. So I don't feel comfortable leaving him with stuffies unless like I'm actively kind of, it's a play tug type of scenario. But what I'm concerned about is if I reduce because my dog is raw fed. And so I try to be conscious of the balance between the nutrition of the raw and then what I try to decide to put in his enrichment bubbles or Kongs or things like that along the way. What are some of the ways that I could verify or kind of be more confident that what I'm giving in the enrichment toys are meeting his nutritional needs that I've taken out of his normal 2 feeds a day?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So yeah, the question is, how do we make sure that it's balanced when we take that cup of food. So when I say take, what I mean is, so, you're feeding raw, they're getting their complete diet already. And when we say, let's take a half a cup out of that, and instead of them getting it in the bowl, we're going to put it in one of these. So I put raw food right in here and I freeze it. And I add a little pumpkin for fun sometimes, but you don't have to. The treats that I specifically use are, I don't know if you guys have these, but it's called Vitalist is the brand. And these are freeze-dried raw rabbit bites. That's what I use. So they get a little rabbit. The other thing too to think about, Amy, is that they can get about 10% of their diet from treats, from things that are not a whole diet. Like we have, the raw food has everything they need. It has the bone and the organ and the solid meat that they need. So they can get 10% of their diet can come from the freeze-dried treats or pumpkin or goat's milk, something that's not totally complete, also nutritious. You can also add in things like apple, broccoli, kale, carrot, things like that into it, green beans. I know a lot of dogs like that. So you could, I don't know if y'all, there's a few groups. Am I allowed to talk about other groups here? One of my favorite, okay, because I'm only mentioning it because I absolutely love it. There's a group called Canine Enrichment. I don't know if y'all are on it on Facebook. There must be like close to 500,000 people from around the world on this thing. And they post the absolute best ideas I've ever seen on all kinds of stuff. And some of the people on there make these gourmet charcuterie platters and beautiful stuffed Kongs for the holidays. And I just saw one the other day. It was an advent calendar made out of toilet paper rolls. Each individual one for each day of the month was wrapped in green paper with a number on it. And inside there's probably just a few pieces of kibble or something fun like that, right? And I thought, oh, it's just so sweet to do that, and take pictures. So we're not necessarily removing, when I about, the 3 cups of when I was using that as an example, the 3 cups of food, and then we take a cup away. What I actually meant was take that cup of food and repurpose it. So instead of just putting it in the bowl, we're going to put it into a topple, or we're going to put it into a babolat, or we're going to, if you use kibble, again, I said, just soften it up with bone broth or something, and then you can freeze it in one of these. If you're using raw, you can do that too. Now, if you're using raw, obviously this is not going to work. So you want to find other ways that we can give them enrichment through raw food, or alternatives, right?
So I tend to do a combination, and he seems to be okay diet wise to have a balance of kibble and raw. So like I do the kibble when I'm out on walks because that's what I have in my pouch and things like that. So where I'm stuck at is how much enrichment should I be giving throughout the day outside of the walks and stuff? Because to me, I'm like, oh, well, you're napping, you're happy, but I'm in a meeting. So here's, a Kong with some stuff or a lick mat done or whatever kind of I have planned for today. But what is the balance of enrichment activity so that you're properly stimulating your pup, but not maybe doing too much or over? I guess that's my non-question question.
No, that was great too. I love it. Oh, Amy, it's a great question. So in case anyone doesn't know what a licky mat is, here's one. And they come in all different kind of textures and stuff. And this is a great resource to have. If you have a dog, like a puppy that's like nippy, we want to give them something else to do. And so this gives them, they lick instead of bite. If you give them a bully stick or an antler or something like that, that's biting. But if you give them the licky mat or the stuffed topple, they're biting. And so it's just oh gosh, hi, look at that angel. What's his name?
His name's Reggie.
Reggie. Oh, he looks so healthy. Look at that shiny coat for everyone who doesn't feed raw. There's a reason why to do it. Get really shiny coats. I have 2 wire-haired dogs, and they both have really soft coats, which people don't expect to have, but they're really soft. Oh, I love that. Okay, so let's see. How much enrichment should we give? So that's a great question. It depends on the age. It depends on the temperament. You may have a dog that is constantly in your face if you have a puppy or a high energy dog. Yeah. So Barb says, that's me. Yeah. And so if you have a dog,
start to hear her shrieking in the back because she's done her toy. But she's lost.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So if you have a dog that, needs a lot more enrichment, you'll see that. However, what Amy kind of alluded to is that we can overstimulate our dogs. So we can get them over. If we get them above that higher arousal level, that can sort of negate the whole thing. It can make it, just as bad. So you need to find a balance with each of your dogs, what works for them. As far as, you said, oh, every time I'm in a meeting, I give them a treat. I don't know. I'm not saying that you do this. I'm saying that, like you mentioned, that's possible. Every time we're on a Zoom call, we're working from home and we want our dog to not jump on us. I do have it's hilarious. I have a video on my YouTube page called like does your dog Zoom? I don't know, Zoomies on Zoom or something like that. And if you Google the YouTube page, and it's all about what we do when our dogs are like trying to be in our face. And while I'm doing it, my dog Julie was like all over me. She was, because my voice when I'm talking to you guys is kind of the way that I talk to her, right? And so she was like, you're playing with me. She's used to, when I do a lot of these videos, sometimes I am training her, right? And so this one particular time I was trying to show you all what to do with your dog when you're on a meeting. She was playing the part. It was very funny. So anyway, you could check that out to see what we can do other than give them a treat. And Amy, did you say that your dog isn't interested in things unless it's food related? Isn't that what you were saying, Amy? I think so.
Yeah, like I have a whole bunch of like chews and bones, and like not bones, but like just like chew type of toys, and zero interest unless he can kill it and tear it. Like he's a shredder.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you don't want to leave him with those. But
No.
if he's next to you, and honestly, as long as he's not ingesting it and you're okay with the price tag, it's okay for him to shred stuff. If he wants to shred egg carton after egg carton, let him do it. That's really fun for them. That's enrichment. And so giving them or when you get the box, and I know that the boxes you get every month, they're beautiful on the outside, but like they can rip up those boxes. I bet Barb would endorse that.
We actually have in our box every month an insert, what you can do with the box. And there's always some sort of game or destruction involved.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can use it, right? You can use it to like hide stuff in the box and have them find it. If you have that kind of a dog, you could, you add extra stuff. So you put that in the box and then they have to find the treats inside of that. You can do boxes and boxes. You can use the packing paper, things like that, and hide stuff inside the box. Let him rip it up, like if that's fun for him. Again, though, Amy, you don't want to get him overstimulated or any of them. You want to have a cancel cue or something like that, where we're like, okay, that's enough. Like let's take a break and regulate it a little bit. But for the most, the dogs can. Unless it's like really extreme, most of them will let you know when they either had enough, so like one of my dogs, well, they both, I've gone through phases of loving the yak chews. Do you guys know what those are? The Himalayan yak chews. My dogs also steal them all.
I have one right here.
Yeah. I usually have here, but I think I kept giving them to my puppy and she must have walked off with them. So I love the Himalayan yak chews. They're really good for them. And I don't know how Reggie does with those, deer antlers or something like that. You can get all the different kinds of antlers, and those are low calorie, like, the antlers, obviously. One of the things I like giving the, not to my dogs just because of sensitivities, but the tracheas, like the cow tracheas, things like that are so fun. Like they're so satisfying when you hear them crunch it. So it depends on how strong a chewer you have. And again, if you're gonna give them the trachea or a bully stick, like that's just so dense, you just want to balance that out with what they eat throughout the day. Of course, they can have an extra here or there. And the other thing too, I was going to say is that, we talk about people food, and I put that in quotes only because I don't really think of it as people food. Like, I think that if we are making something for them that's like made with food that we would eat, that doesn't necessarily mean it's people food. It means that it's whole foods that are really good for them. So, we don't want to give them things that are going to make them sick, things that are too salty, things that are too fatty. If you're making like turkey, we don't want to give them any cooked bones or anything like the dressing. I'm just thinking of other things, that would not be okay. Like there's a whole list of foods that are not okay. Chocolate, caffeine, xylitol, which is now called birch sugar on many places. Those things are lethal, toxic. Like xylitol is the absolute worst. They will go into like total shock immediately from that. So that's in chewing gum. Sometimes it's in peanut butter or any kind of like, sugar-free kind of items that you might purchase. If we stick with whole foods though, whole proteins, some people like to give whole grains to their dogs. I don't, but if you do, just make sure that they're like from a natural source. And if you want to use any nut butters, it doesn't have to be peanut butter, which is a legume. It's not even a nut. So you could use almond butter or something like that. That's like cashew butter. There's just a really high in fat content. So you want to be careful. They don't need it, right? Like, let's get back to what Amy was saying about giving them foods that have no nutritional value. Peanut butter has no value to them. Brown rice, white rice, no reason for it. The reason why it's used in kibble is because it's a binder. The reason why quinoa is used is because it's a binder. It doesn't mean that it's good for them. It's just the extrusion process to make this kibble. Something has to stick together. And so they have figured out that they can make something called grain-free, but they still need a binder. So that's what that stuff is. And I would say 99% of the binders are not, it's not nutritionally like balanced for a dog. Mindful of what works and what loves carrots, dislikes green beans. Haha. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was saying. I don't know if I got distracted about that Canine Enrichment Facebook group, but they make these beautiful like creations with these and with the cons, especially around the holidays. This like over like the December holidays, everything, like they'll just make these beautiful creations. I'm like, I wish I had time for that. So you check out my videos about the holiday recipes that I did recently, and grab the recipes. And there's a recipe in there for cats too. So if any of you have cats, I do have one for them as well, using sardines and pumpkin. So yeah. Yummy. Does that answer everyone's questions?
I think you've got everything in there. I did put the link to your recipes in as well, so people can grab it right there, and we'll put it in the with the recording as well. I'm not sure if recording records the messages or not. I don't think so, but does anybody have any more questions for Lindsay? I think we're good.
We covered a lot.
That I co-own a dog with Erin here, and when she gave him to me, she was like, give him cut up celery for treats. And that just blew my mind, because I'm like, my dog will not eat celery.
Yeah, celery is
happy.
Yeah, celery is good. I would just cut it up in pieces so it's not stringy when it comes out the other end. Yeah, you want to just make sure they're balanced. That's fantastic. I actually hear my dog on the Himalayan yak too now. So I guess she's done with her topple and has moved on. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's just about balance. I mean, we're not adding, is what I really want to just reiterate that when we're talking about providing enrichment, it's not about adding. It's just like including it into their whole diet. So when I work with one-on-one clients to help them with their nutrition plan, whether a dog needs to lose weight, gain weight, they need to change the protein or whatever due to allergies or any kind of health conditions, we look at the whole picture. I don't just look at what their meal is. I look at the treats they get, table food, right? Like if we're giving them the carrots and green beans, we add that into their calorie content because we need to see what they're getting on average during a week. You know, obviously, like maybe, okay, before times, the weekends, they might get more than they would during the week because we were home more. Now it's like every day is a weekend. So the dogs are, you know, in heaven. But providing enrichment, take them for a walk. I did want to say to Amy about taking Reggie for a walk, and you said about kibble, is that you could, instead of kibble or along with kibble, you could use, you know, any of these freeze-dried treats. You can get the freeze-dried raw. They make like little freeze-dried. I like using them when we go on vacation and I can't necessarily take raw food with me. So I just grab a bag of the freeze-dried raw, and you could use those for treats also. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say, this just goes along with training, is that the stinkier the food is, the more enriching it can be for them. So give them novel foods. You know, if you have a puppy who's not paying attention or not interested in their kibble, if kibble doesn't cut it, when you're on a walk and you have a dog that doesn't care about kibble, but is like sees a squirrel across the street or the deer or whatever it is. Yeah. So Amy says it worked well. Recall at the dog park. Yeah. So exactly. So I like to, you know, call them like the high value treats. And when I say high value treats, I don't mean the $30 bag at the pet store. I mean hot dogs, meatballs, sausage, something that is pre-cooked and easy for us and smells really good to them. So you just cut it up real small, and I cut it up into pea-sized pieces, like literally, like even for a dog the size of Reggie, I would cut it up into small pieces like this, because it's not about how big it is, it's about the consistency of giving it over and over. And I think that works really well with them to pay attention to us on walks. So I remember there was one other thing, the enrichment on walks or the dog park or on hikes. It's important to have not kibble, because kibble's like, I get that every day, Mom. Like, they don't want that. They want something fun. So if you give them, and you can get a lot, unlike one hot dog, which is only 2 ounces, you can get a ton of treats out of that. So it's a really good one. I use it for dogs of all sizes.
Yeah, I think my dog Toby's favorite is the turkey pepperoni from Costco. She just loves that.
Exactly. We just want to make sure that all of those, and when you said pepperoni, it made me reminded me to say they are really high in sodium. So after a training session with a dog, like, you know, if you're doing a 20-minute session or something, make sure that they have access to clean, fresh water because it's really salty for them.
Well, I share it with her. So.
Well, oh, I know. One of my other faves too is the spray cheese. I might share that too. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah. And if anybody's watching this after and has questions, just put them in the group and we'll get some answers for you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Bye.
Bye.